So by now, if you've been following my newsletter, you have 3 basic recipes under your belt. Before I move on with further recipes, I thought it was time to go back to basics to talk about the basic foundation of Indian cooking, which means your spices and some basic terms and conditions that are required. So you have a good base to go take off your recipes. So Indian food, as you probably know, is very diverse. There's 29 states and each state has its own food. Even if we don't discuss it state by state, broadly, even if we talk about regional cuisine as North Indian and South Indian, they're dramatically different from each other. And what determines the difference is the climate, historically, who took over and left behind what, and geographically, what's growing there. But what's common across every single household, regardless of region, is a spice box. My spice box looks something like this, but a basic spice box is usually just stainless steel, not as colorful, something like this. It could be a little bit bigger. And the purpose of this is to have everything that you use most often in one place. So you're not opening 5 different jars of spices, and each spice box is customized to your own needs. So let's talk about the basic spices in my spice box. Even though North Indian and South Indian food is different and their spices are going to be a little different, 30% overlap is there. The core spices remain the same. So I'm going to show you what's in my spice box, and most Indian spice boxes you're going to see a lot of the same spices. So let's talk about the most trendy spice, turmeric. This is a very common, very popular spice in Indian cuisine. It stains, so be careful when you use it. It's a root coming from the ginger family, and it's used for a lot of antibacterial properties and antiseptic properties, and it also is used to heal when you have the flu or when you have an open wound. They would put turmeric paste. It's also used in Indian weddings and a whole ceremony around it where they smear turmeric on the bride and groom, and it's supposed to be auspicious and give them a glow. This is something that's in every single spice box regardless of region. The next bright one is chili powder. This is just chilies. It's not a mix, it's just pure heat, and you get only 2 different versions. You get a hot chili powder and a milder chili powder, and those are replaceable. So if you had only mild, you use more in quantity, it would work to make your dish spicier. The next spice is something you're probably familiar with, is cumin seeds. So you're probably more familiar with cumin powder because that's what's used in American cooking. And it seems like you should be able to use one for the other, but you can't. Cumin seeds have a very different flavor than cumin powder, and they're both used extensively, but I use cumin seeds more, so that's why that's in my spice box. This is sometimes confused with fennel, which looks similar, but they have nothing in common. So don't confuse it with fennel, and don't use fennel instead of cumin seeds. This one is coriander powder. It's this lemony green powder, and it's very fragrant. It's used a lot in Mexican cooking as well. The leafy green of coriander is cilantro. Yes, you heard that right. Coriander seeds yield coriander leaves or cilantro. In India, nobody uses the term cilantro. So if it's ever garnished with cilantro or garnished with coriander, it means cilantro. And this is a great example of same but not the same. Coriander powder and cilantro are not replaceable. So you can't use one for the other. Another popular one is fenugreek. The Hindi name is methi. This is also a hugely therapeutic spice. You'll get it in the supplement aisle in Walgreens or wherever you buy your supplements. It's given to women when they're nursing, and it's also really good for digestion. It's used a lot in Ayurvedic cuisine. And it also has a leafy green, which is a winter green and is used instead of spinach sometimes when it's in season. This is used a lot in Persian cuisine as well. And the last one is ajwain or carom seeds. This is also used with things that are deep fried or something that's heavier on your system to help aid with the digestion. So you'll find this in samosas or pakoras, so that it counterbalances the effects of deep frying a little bit. And then we have a bay leaf, and I use bay leaf very often, both for Indian and non-Indian cooking. So it's in my spice box. Even though it's not a powdered spice, I keep it here because I just use it often. Other than these spices, I have two other spices that I want to talk about, which are not in my spice box but are used very frequently and are a big part of my cooking. The two other spices that I use extensively, one of them is mango powder. It's light brown in color like this, and it's got this lemony flavor, and you can replace it with lemons, but it's not a perfect replacement. It's easily available at any grocery store, but it's definitely available at Indian grocery stores. It's basically dried up raw mangoes, the green raw mangoes, which is what gives it its tartness and flavor. It's a really special spice, and I encourage you to use it with different ingredients and see how you like it. And the last one, and the most special spice, which is intrinsic to Indian cooking, and you're going to hear this term a lot if you do any kind of Indian cooking, is garam masala. Garam masala is a mix of spices. It's dark brown in color, and it's very aromatic if you smell it, and it should be aromatic. If your garam masala is not aromatic, you know you want to replace it. It's a mix of all the warm spices, which is literally what it means, that it's a blend of all the warm spices. So this is what goes into making garam masala: cinnamon sticks, black cardamom, green cardamom, star anise, black peppercorns, and other than this, there's cloves and cumin seeds. So the proportions changes as per each family, and the mix of all this is garam masala. I want to stress that whole spices is not the same as powdered spices, and don't use one for the other. So which means if a recipe asks you to use whole cinnamon stick and you have cinnamon powder, it is not going to work if you use cinnamon powder. You're better off skipping it than using cinnamon powder in most cases. So please keep both available for you. Even if they're not in large quantities, just have them available. So if you have all these spices in your pantry, you can handle most of Indian cooking, like 80% of Indian cooking. There are many more spices, but this will get you far. And you can find all these spices in mainstream grocery stores, a lot of them, but definitely in Indian grocery stores. If you ever have trouble, please reach out to me and I'll help you find them. I invite you to make your spice boxes, even if it's not for Indian cooking, because it makes it really convenient and easily accessible. Hopefully, the next time I see you, you will each have a spice box with your custom spices that you use, and it'll remind you of all the Indian cooking we're going to be doing. Till next time.